Hi all. So today we'll be looking at sonnet number 57 written by Edmund Spenser. It's a sonnet because, as you already know, it has 14 lines in it. We'll look at the rhyme scheme and the structure of the poem later. First, let me read it out for you. So here Spenser says, "Sweet warrior, when shall I have peace with you? High time it is, this war now ended were, which I no longer can endure to sue. Nay, your incessant battery more to bear. So weak my powers, so sore my wounds appear, that wonder is how I should live a jot, seeing my heart through lanced everywhere, with 1,000 arrows which your eyes have shot. Yet shoot ye sharply still, and spare me not. But glory, I think, to make these cruel stars. Yea, cruel one, what glory can be caught? In slaying him that would live gladly yours. Make peace, therefore, and grant me timely grace, that all my wounds will heal in little space." So what kind of poem does it appear? A love poem, right? So sonnets are short poems. These are written in 14 lines and they usually address the love of male lover for his beloved, who is usually unresponsive. The love is unrequited. So again here in this sonnet, the love is unrequited. She's unresponsive. So first look at the structure, the meter. In the previous video, I told you about iambic pentameter. So what is an iambic pentameter? Penta means 5 and iambs, when you combine 2 syllables, a pair of syllables is called iamb, and when you have 5 iambs in your in one line, that is iambic pentameter. So let's look at this line, the first line of the poem. Sweet. What are syllables? The sounds of vowels. So here we have sweet, one sound, then war is the second sound, rear is the third sound, when is the fourth sound, shall is the fifth sound, I sixth, have seventh, peace is eighth, with ninth, and you is 10. Total we have 10 syllables, which means we have 5 pairs, 5 iambs or 5 feet, which makes it an iambic pentameter. One syllable is stressed, the other is unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, and so on. So now that we know this is written in iambic pentameter, let's look at the rhyme scheme then. So rhyme scheme, it means the last word of each line. So here it's you. Let's write it as A. U is A. Then were is B, because it does not rhyme with you, right? So were is B. Then sue, it rhymes with you, so it is A. Then beer rhymes with were, so it's B. Then we have appear. Appear rhymes with were and beer, so it's B again. Then jot is C, because it does not appear here. Then everywhere rhymes with appear, bear, so it's B. Then short rhymes with jot, so it's C. Not, again, it rhymes with short and jot, so it's C. Stars, D. Then got is again C, not short, jot, got. Then we have yours. It rhymes with stars, so it's D. Then grace in space. These are the couplets. So remember, there are Petrarchan sonnets, then there are English sonnets or Shakespearean sonnets. So this is an English sonnet. We have a couplet at the end. In Petrarchan sonnets, we have octaves, that is 8 lines. Then we have sestets, 6 lines. Total, they form 14 lines. This is Petrarchan sonnets or Italian sonnets. Then in Shakespearean sonnets, or what is called English sonnets, we have quatrains, which are formed of 4 lines. So here we have 3 quatrains and at last a couplet. Couplet as in 2 lines. Total 12 plus 2, 14 lines. So here if you look at sonnet number 57, AB AB, this is 1 quatrain, then BC BC is 2nd quatrain, CD CD is the 3rd one, and at last we have a couplet, EE. Now the structure, it is divided in a way that the first 8 lines, that is the first 2 quatrains, they address a question, an issue, usually love, a problem, and the couplet gives solution to the problem. We'll look at it. Let me read it out again and explain it line by line. And also this is this poem is written in the rhyme scheme is AB AB BC BC CD CD EE, which is peculiar to Spenser. He does not follow the rhyme scheme of Petrarchan or Shakespearean sonnets. He came up with his own scheme, and the language that he uses, it's highly lyrical. The language is highly lyrical and at the same time archaic, as in he uses primitive language, old language. So let's look at how in the first few lines he gives a problem and then there is a solution to the problem. So he says, "Sweet warrior, when shall I have peace with you?" Now the beloved is addressed as a warrior. Sweet because he loves her. Warrior because she is not being responsive. She's rejecting his proposal. So he's calling her a warrior. Warrior because she's waging a war against him. Hence, she's a warrior. She's not accepting his proposal. And you already know we read John Donne's Batter My Heart. Where again John Donne equates wrestling with love. And it is a tradition. Almost all English poets, they equate wrestling with love. War and love are connected. So martial, remember the martial as well as marital tone in Batter My Heart, 3% God. So similarly, here you will see martial as well as marital language. So the idea that a male lover, he wrestles in love. So she's the warrior, she's sweet warrior. When shall I have peace with you? So he says, sweet warrior, when shall I have peace with you? As in, when are you going to stop this war that you have waged against me? Why don't you simply accept my proposal? Then high time it is that this war now ended war. It is high time for you to end this war that you have waged against me. So simply accept my proposal. Then he says, which I no longer can endure to sue. I can no longer bear with it. It is becoming cruel. It is going beyond his... he cannot accept it anymore. He cannot tolerate it anymore. Which I no longer can endure. Nay, your insistent battery more to bear. Then he says, so weak my powers, so sore my wounds appear. He's saying that his powers are fading because he has been fighting with her. He's been trying since long, yet without a result. She is still not accepting his proposal. So sore my wounds appear. Sore as in painful. His wounds have become so painful that he can no longer endure it. Then he says that wonder is how I should live a jot. Jot means for a short period of time because he's been fighting since ages. He's been trying since long. Now he says that wonder is how I should live a jot. I won't be able to live this way. Seeing my heart through lanced everywhere with 1,000 arrows which your eyes have shot. So the eyes of the beloved, are like weapons. She has murderous eyes. So it's not very new to us, right? We grew up listening to Bollywood songs, Gulabi aankhein, blue eyes, which hypnotize the lover. So also the idea of killer look, katilana nikhaye. So all this, the idea that the eyes of the beloved are so powerful that they can lanced everywhere with 1,000 arrows. So she has shot arrows with her eyes, and he has been hurt. Yet shoot ye sharply still, spare me not. Do you see a shift now? There's a shift. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The first 8 lines, that is the first 2 quatrains, they address the problem that the beloved is like a warrior, and the lover, he is no longer able to endure it, and she shot arrows at him. But then comes the solution. Not exactly a solution, but he's learning how to deal with it. So he says, yet shoot ye sharply still, spare me not. But glory, I think, to make these cruel stars, yea, cruel one. So he calls her cruel for not accepting his proposal. Again, this idea, we are already familiar with male poets who are obsessed with the idea of calling the beloved cruel if she does not accept the proposal. Remember William Butler Yeats? A Prayer for My Daughter and other hate poetry that he has written for his beloved Maud Gonne when she rejected his proposals thrice. And also he went ahead to propose to her adopted daughter and again got rejected. So then he wrote poetry against her, that he does not want his daughter to be like Maud Gonne. So this tradition is not very new to us. You're already familiar with it, that how male poets treat women in their poetry, especially the canonical poets, canonical writers like Yeats and Spencer, Sidney, Donne. So, but glory think to make these cruel stars. She's cruel because she's not accepting his proposal. So according to him, she's cruel, and he's criminalizing the woman because she's not complying. She's not saying yes. So he says, what glory can be got in slaying him that would live gladly yours. So according to him, he has already surrendered. So why does she slay him with arrows? Why is she shooting arrows at him? Because he's already surrendered. He's already hers. He's gladly, he says, that would live gladly yours. I already want to live for you. I've already surrendered myself to you. So what glory will you get? What will you get in slaying me? So don't be cruel towards me. Rather, simply accept my proposal. You will never find someone as loving as me. Then in the last 2 lines, that is the couplet, he says, make peace, therefore, and grant me timely grace, that all my wounds will heal in little space. So according to him, as he mentioned earlier, that so sore my wounds appear, that my wounds, they are becoming painful now, and my powers are fading. So he says that Give me some time. Stop this war. Give a halt to the war for some time, and grant me some timely grace, so that all my wounds will heal in little space. Give my wounds some time to heal. If you stop this war, if you pause this war for some time, I'll get time to heal. So the sonnet is very simple. If you look at the individual sonnet, it does not make much sense to you. You'll have to read the entire collection, the Emirati poems. So then it will be more, you'll be able to understand the meaning. So most of his poems are, and also it's interesting to note that he does not call the beloved by her name, which is a common tradition. If you look at sonnets of Petrarch or even Philip Sidney. And Petrarch addressed his sonnets to his beloved Laura, Sidney to Stella, and there are several other sonnet ladies. But Spenser moves away from this tradition. So he comes up with his own idea of a sonnet where he follows a different rhyme scheme. His poems are highly lyrical in nature, the language is archaic, and at the same time, he also addresses the issue of love, but in a different way. Some critics believe that it is Christian love that he's talking about, the love for Christ. So he follows the structure of calendar, that is of a church. And coming back to the idea of not naming the beloved. So if you look at the collection of poem, so this sonnet number 57 from this collection, Emirati. So this title, it means Little Loves. It is in the 74th sonnet. It is only in the 74th sonnet that he names his beloved. So we come to know that it's Elizabeth Boyle. He later married this woman. So the poem is addressed to Elizabeth Boyle, but we come to know about it only in the 74th sonnet, which is unlike of for a sonnet, because in most of the sonnets, most of the sonnetteers prefer to use the name of the beloved in the title itself or within the sonnet, but he does not do that. And also even William Shakespeare, so he has written around I think 154 sonnets. In the first half, he addresses a fair youth. In the last half, the second part of the sonnets are addressed to dark lady. So even Spenser does not name his beloved throughout the sonnets. It's only in 74th sonnet that we come to know that it's Elizabeth Boyle. Then if you look at other, so this poem, it is about unresponsive love of a beloved who is like a warrior. He's trying to make peace with her, but she's not ready. So she has started a war against him. She has waged a war against him, and he wishes to surrender because he is wounded. He is the weaker one. His powers have weakened now. And he says that she shot arrows from her eyes, and he requests her to make peace with him because he wants time for his wounds to heal. So if you look at the entire collection of these sonnets, there is fluctuation of human mind. So individual poem does not highlight the meaning completely, so you'll have to go through the entire collection. And the collection as such, it's about different, it shows you how the sonnets written by Spenser are different. So he does not name her, and he follows the tradition of Dante. So he does not use the lady love's name, because there could be two reasons. First reason is because he does not follow the strict English or Italian tradition. He does not follow the strict Italian tradition, that is Petrarchan tradition, or English tradition, that is Shakespearean tradition. And the other reason could be that his poems, his sonnets, are not directed only to the lady love at the lady, but he has some larger theme in mind. So if you read it, if you just skim through the sonnets, it appears that again this is a poem which deals with courtly love. But there are critics who believe that that sensuality is almost absent in these poems, and he does not idealize the woman. He does not, in fact, he does not idealize physical love. He does not reject it either, and it is confusing in a way. Whether it's spiritual love or it's physical love or platonic love, it's not clear. So his love is not just full of courtly conceits to win the lady love. Rather, these poems are believed to be religious and philosophical in nature. So the Christian concept of love, and also there's multiplicity in these poems. He follows the structure of, as I mentioned earlier, the Christian love for Christ. And if you look at other sonnets, there are references to festivals, religious festivals, like Easter, Lent, the festival of Lent. So this is, let's look at the other two sonnets in the next video, which will help you understand the sonnets of Spenser better. That's it for today. If you have any doubts, let me know.